Assalamu alaikum dear viewers, I invite you all to another forum discussion today for discussion or chat or actually just to talk. Jamaat and NCP have called for boycott of the 26th election. What is the future of this election? Will it be like the 2024 election? If the situation is unfavorable, boycotting the election is a big disease of Bangladeshi politicians. Today in this discussion, we will see that if BNP did not participate in the last 3 elections of Sheikh Hasina's tenure in 2014, 19, 24, those votes were invalid, then if Jamaat NCP did not participate, can this meeting be called invalid? The Yunus government has announced that elections will be held in the country in the first half of February 2026. This election is being held without completing the country's reforms. Raising this allegation, the King's Party NCP has said that they will not participate in this election. For roughly the same reason, the Jamaat-e-Islami Party is also saying that they will boycott the election. On the other hand, the BNP party is in favor of immediate elections, because they think that their market is good. Since Awami League is not in the market, at least at the moment, that is why they are saying that they want votes as soon as possible. This situation inevitably reminds us of the 2024 elections during Sheikh Hasina's tenure. BNP did not participate in those elections, no other opposition party. They boycotted the elections. What were the demands? The demand was that BNP boycotted the elections not for any ideological reason. They boycotted because of the market situation. Well, I will read an Al Jazeera report later. You will understand the reason for their boycott. There is a strange culture in opposition politics in Bangladesh. I will boycott the elections because the market is bad, but later I will say that the voting process is not valid. If the BNP and the opposition were not there, if the elections in 2014, 18, or 2024 become illegal, then the dynamics I see will make the 26th election in Bangladesh illegal. All the next elections, all the elections that will be held in the future, will be illegal. Because, as I said, the opposition in Bangladesh has a tendency to boycott the elections when they see the market is bad. What a strange transition of democracy is happening in Bangladesh now. It is being said that not only the 2024 elections, but also the elections held on December 31, 2018 during Hasina's tenure were fake and illegal. Why not? The Awami League won a lot of seats, and the BNP alliance did not participate in the elections. But what did the famous Al Jazeera newspaper write about the election results in their March 9, 2019 issue at that time? Let me tell you what I was talking about a little while ago. Take a look, let's talk about that. Al Jazeera gave the headline in their report that what did the main opposition party BNP do wrong in Bangladesh? Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina then says in the news that Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina was elected to a 3rd consecutive term in the national elections of Bangladesh with an absolute victory. Which is almost this, but remember, this is the election that was held on December 31, 2018. It is not the 24th election. It was the 3rd term. And what she won in the 24th election is her 4th term. Anyway, Al Jazeera writes that a 3rd term in office has raised concerns that the South Asian country of 160 million people could become a one-party state. This is what various analysts say. Sheikh Hasina's party, the Awami League and its allies won almost all of the 300 parliamentary seats, their best ever result. Many Bangladeshi observers questioned the fact that the BNP was not in the fray in the 2019 elections, calling it disappointing that it had won 4 national and 2 presidential elections since its formation in 1978. But will the former ruling party, which has not been in power since 2006, ever regain its position as a major political force in the country? Asking this question, Al Jazeera said that the BNP's revival in Bangladesh seems impossible for 3 main reasons. This was not said by any mouthpiece of the Awami League. Was it Al Jazeera who had no devotion or respect for the Awami League at all? What were the reasons that the BNP would never return to the Awami League? The reason behind the BNP's comeback was considered impossible, the reason being the loss of public support. Then Al Jazeera also explained this reason. It said that first of all, BNP no longer has public support. The party's chairperson Khalida Zia is in prison on corruption charges, and her son and acting chairman of the party, Tariq Rahman, has been living in exile in London for more than 10 years in 2018-19. In October 2018, a court in Bangladesh sentenced Tariq to life imprisonment in the 2004 assassination attempt on Sheikh Hasina, which the people know as the grenade attack case, in which 24 people were killed and many more were injured. Other leaders of the party, and many of the other leaders and prominent supporters of the BNP party are either in prison or have been in exile since the elections or since then, and the rest are trying to remain hidden. The party says that the charges against them are politically motivated. But that's right. So many people died, it was not a lightning strike from the sky or a storm like they were shouting. They must have had their reasons behind it. That reason is Tariq Rahman and his grenade attack. Yet, as a result of this allegation being raised, they said, "This is not our work." BNP said it, but people did not believe it. BNP has lost their supporters. Besides, in 2013, BNP, with the support of its friend Jamaat-e-Islami, tried to change the election law through general religious gatherings and street protests and mentioned the unenforceable conditions. Look at 2014, this is not my story. This is Al Jazeera's story. Citing the unenforceable conditions, it expressed its intention to boycott the upcoming 2014 general elections. But despite the boycott, Sheikh Hasina's government went ahead with the elections and easily came to power. What did BNP do in response? BNP vandalized the entire country. Many buses were burned. Bombs were thrown. There was widespread disruption to public life. As a result, the people are leaning against this BNP. Today, in 2025, BNP is thinking that they have probably won by a landslide. By a landslide, no matter what they do, the Awami League is not there. So they will win. That is why they will make another video later today. There is one of the current advisory councils in Bangladesh, one of whose advisors he says has said something about BNP. Anyway, let's go back to Al Jazeera's words. Al Jazeera says that in 2018, BNP first thought of participating peacefully. But when they saw that they did not have public support, what did they do on the day of the election? BNP means that they were no longer there during the election. This does not mean that if the election was not held peacefully and fairly. This is what they are saying, that the election was not held fairly. But the main thing is that the people's apathy towards BNP clearly proved that BNP will not benefit and BNP has lost their support. The second explanation that Al Jazeera gave about BNP is that it has failed to remain relevant in the country's politics. BNP has failed to integrate itself with the people's movement in the past few years. The mass protests have become formulaic, where people are demanding that the Bangladesh state adhere to its secular principles. A few months later, Hasina's government, along with an alliance of about a dozen Islamist organizations, started a counter-movement to protest the goal of changing the country's secular political culture. Thus, millions of Bangladeshis began a national debate in the midst of the conflicting movement. BNP failed to find its place in this important national discussion. The Jubo Dal of Shabah was within their reach. On the other hand, did Hafizat of BNP? Hafizat-e-Islami ignored BNP's support because they had already become strong. They created an alliance of more than 25,000 religious school-based organizations across Bangladesh. Dear viewers, Did you understand from this news report by Al Jazeera that Sheikh Hasina would not have gone to the 2018 elections by rigging the people's votes, so she won? The opposition lost because it meant it lost. In other words, they did not go to the protest polling station. They were afraid to go because they saw that people were not on their side. I know, when the Awami League is being called fascist etc. in the country today, many people will not digest this. They will talk about changing the rules in the elections. They will say that Sheikh Hasina changed the rules for voting during the caretaker government. That is why she changed it so that she could win. No one talks about why she changed it. Why did she really change it? The caretaker government that came to power before 2009 by promising quick elections, like today's Muhammad Yunus, is trying to postpone the elections on various pretexts. In that situation, they also created that situation before 2009. That is why Sheikh Hasina amended the constitution and abolished the caretaker government system. Many will mention the percentage of voting and say, how can a vote be valid with such a low participation rate? The percentage of voting in various elections in Bangladesh was almost the same. The voting rate in the 2000 and 2009 elections was a bit higher, approximately 80%. The reason for this was that the country had not had an elected government for several years before that. That year, the first elections were held under a party government after the permanent government system was restored. In the 2014 elections, the voting rate was actually much lower due to the boycott of the elections by the BNP and the main opposition party. Because people are thinking about what will happen when they go to vote. It will win. The Awami League will win anyway. So there is no need to bother and stand in line to vote. Still, an estimated 41% voted in 2014, and there is a huge debate about the legitimacy of that election. The specific voting rate for the 2019 elections was not clearly available. It was not available from a specific source. However, according to reports, voter turnout increased compared to that 41% in 2014. It is reported that in the 2024 elections, an estimated 41 to 41.8% voted. In previous elections, 70% of the votes were cast. Sometimes 60 to 65% of the votes were cast. So there was no big difference then. However, there was more or less difference according to the specific year. Especially then, the fact is that the voting count raised the flag in favor of democracy. Those who are criticizing the Sheikh Hasina government of Bangladesh today should be vocal. It cannot be a supportable position to boycott the votes against those who boycott the elections because the results may go against them. In democracy, I am talking about the powerful India. The powerful BJP party got only 2 Lok Sabha seats in the 1984 elections. But they never went on the path of boycotting the elections. After the assassination of Indira Gandhi, the BJP got only 2 Lok Sabha seats. Today, the BJP got more than 300 seats in its last many elections. This time, it got a little less in 2024. It got about 300 seats in the previous elections, so even after getting 2, they never went on the path of boycotting the elections. Democracy is so fragile there because the political parties of Bangladesh have not remembered and do not keep this in mind. And the terrible situation that is going on in Bangladesh today is because the foundation of democracy has not been strengthened at all there. It is not because of Sheikh Hasina's mistakes. It is not because of all the atrocities that Sheikh Hasina has committed. It is because the foundation of democracy is not strong that America is able to play in Bangladesh. America is putting pressure on Bangladesh in various ways. Bangladesh has become a puppet in America's hands today.